Hi folks, this is CNB. Thanks for joining us on a brand new show. We've got lots to take you through this week, so I'm going to jump right into it. First up, it's a new variant on the Indica Vista family. It's an interesting one as well. This is the D90 that I've been speaking about with some of you online. Here is our review.
The promise of a better Indica was always something many of us have held dear every time Tata has promised us a new version of the car. True, in this case we're talking about the Indica Vista, but then with it we get even more demanding. And after all the trials and tribulations, Tata has come closer to delivering us a good, ample indigenous hatch. The Vista's D90 spec is all about bringing us Fiat's famed 1.3 multi-jet 90 PS or 88 bhp avatar, but unlike the Punto 90, this one is cheaper. What the D90 also does is offer us a more refined car overall, so along with the extra power, you get improved interiors and a better ride.
You got to give credit to Tata for trying to do something a little bit different with its cars. You saw a bit of a brand reinvention of the Manza family. Now you're seeing a flagship for the Vista range, and so credit to them for that. But this particular car that's with me right now is the top end on the D90, which is the ZX Plus. What you are seeing here though is a few, there are a few add-ons. There's a bit of an exaggerated bumper at the rear. There is more than an exaggerated spoiler. It's almost a little absurd. A big huge spoiler at the back. Side skirt here, and then in the front too, you've got a very exaggerated sporty add-on to the bumper. None of that is part of standard equipment or D90 spec. That's just a body kit that you can get at any Tata dealer and put onto any Vista variant. So don't go by any of that. What you do get on the ZX Plus is this contrast roof, which is again like the Manza, so the infinity panoramic roof, whatever you want to call it. On the VX, that's only available on the red, so you don't get that on any other color. It's all body colored as far as the VX is concerned, barring the spice red. So good to see a little bit of excitement perhaps from Tata. Is it enough to get a lot of individual buyers to start opting for what's always been seen as a fleet vehicle in India? Well, the main proof of the pudding is underneath the hood. So let's get in and drive the car now.
Alright, so let me tell you all about how the engine feels. The Indica Vista isn't a light car, and so while the engine makes the car a lot zippier and more fun than the existing Quadrajet as Tata calls it, it's not as sporty as the Punto or even the Swift frankly, even though the Swift has the lower 75 bhp spec, but then the Swift's much lighter. What is remarkably improved is the car's suspension and its overall ride quality. Tata engineers have reworked damper settings and the car feels more solid, more precise, and definitely not as soft as the regular Vista. At lower revs, the car's turbo lag will be a bit annoying, but out on the highway or on a track for that matter, it's a stable and sure-footed fast drive. The car's cabin is quieter than before, with vibrations and noise levels being cut down overall. The engine is the familiar 1.3-litre Quadrajet with the new specs, and Tata says it's added a variable geometry turbocharger to the mix. A 6-speed gearbox though may have worked a little bit better with this unit.
The focus was to make the car a little bit more individual and so more attractive to that individual buyer, which is why you have a few high-end features that have been thrown in. The music system is now a touch screen interface. It also gives you GPS navigation. That's pretty cool and certainly something that a lot of people will appreciate. The other thing which has been added now is the Blue 5 feature, which is essentially the idea that you can pair 5 Bluetooth phones now onto this machine, and so people in the car can use their own phones on that Bluetooth system. Climate control is now also standard on the D90, which is again a nice feature to have, so something that sets it apart from the regular base versions. And you also have steering mounted controls, something that was missing here. A lot of this reminds you of the kind of equipment we've seen coming in on the Manza as well.
There are two variants as I said. The VX is priced at 5,99,000 rupees, while the ZX Plus is all bells and whistles and costs 82 grand more. And then there is this yellow number we simply had to show you.
You know how in the European market you have a lot of hot hatches which are basically souped up versions of existing cars. things like the Cross Polo, the Cross Golf from VW, for instance. So giving that car a little bit of an extra SUV characteristic, perhaps. Well, that's what Tata has tried to do. You can see there's a spare wheel mounted on the rear door here. The overall height of this vehicle has been increased. It's got a raised suspension, 16-inch alloy wheels, finished off in this really nice bright canary yellow, and in the front you get to see a few other styling elements, a sportier bumper, air scoops, and overall the idea of doing this version is not just to do a design study or not just to put it out here as a display unit. The D90 Xtreme badging tells you that there's a little bit more to it. So what they've done is essentially created this car which has this bit of a crossover appeal to it, and it will be coming to the market as a variant, says Tata Motors, perhaps sometimes in this particular calendar year. So something to look forward to. And yes, it does get a bit of a booster shot in terms of power. It goes from 90 to 105 PS. So how about that new D90 Xtreme? Well, you got to react to it because it's going to be sooner than later that Tata finally brings that in. We can't wait for that to come to the market. And overall, the Vista seems to have moved up, isn't it? Become a little bit more premium. So react to the car in general as well. I'll wait for your feedback. Now, every 2 years here in Delhi, we have the Delhi Auto Expo, which excites all auto lovers. Lots of cars on display, some bikes too. And every 2 years, as I mentioned. So while we wait for the biennial event, remember that in Mumbai, every alternate year, you have the Mumbai Motor Show now. And so it's not quite at the scale of the Auto Expo in Delhi, but there is still plenty there for a lot of the auto lovers to go and take a look at. Asta Maheshwari was there as well to bring you this report.
As you can see behind me, the halls are bustling with people, clearly indicating that despite the glum environment, auto lovers are grabbing every bit of opportunity to witness their favorite brand on display. Just like the Auto Expo, it was the DC Avanti concept to Hyundai's very hot Veloster that can be called the obvious showstoppers here too. On the bike side, CNB's freshly crowned two-wheeler of the year, the Bajaj Pulsar 200 NS, got lots of eyeballs. While Mahindra managed to also get some of the spotlight with its newly launched bikes, the Pentero and Centuro. The show was on from 24 to 27 Jan, and on both the weekdays and the weekend, the crowds didn't seem to be any less or more, which is a good sign for an industry recovering from dented demand. Manufacturers in particular would be very heartened by this response from a major urban auto market like Mumbai.
Basically, it is a platform to have the promote our all the vehicles. We have cars in all the segment, right from 800cc beyond car to premium segment up to Santa Fe. So, and we have the good presence in all the markets, and this is a good platform to expand our brand awareness to all the people and to maximize our customer segment.
Other products that got the attention included the recently unveiled updated Audi Q5 and Nissan's 370Z sports car, while the likes of Toyota, Skoda and Honda showed off their complete portfolio of products. Apart from the latest cars and bikes, creating a lot of excitement were these rather enduring classics from Fiat. The retrospective section had these enduring baby Fiats and 500s, very popular for sure. The motorsport section compiled by Zig Wheels was also a hit.
Next up from the Ghost Riders we have Brutus! Brutus, let's go! और ये रहा Neo!
And a special stunt team riding Pulsars perform dangerous stunts.
And Bombay's favorite one. Come on, Bombay. Make some noise.
The crowds surely lap that up.
Similarly, in motorcycling, I think stunting is one of the things. Provided you do it with training, provided you do it with professional safety gears and all, you can experience what a bike can do. And only a performance segment bike can deliver that. As you saw it, see, Bombay is an important market for us, and it's among the top 5 markets of motorcycle in India.
But it wasn't just about the automobiles themselves.
It's called a car wrap. It's not a paint, it's like a vinyl, it's like a sticker which is put on a on the whole car. So it looks like a like a paint finish, but in reality it's not a paint. And it's put on your existing color. In that way it doesn't spoil your original color.
Also, on the other hand, a little treat for music lovers too, with a 20,000 watt subwoofer on the showcase. A more sophisticated version than the one showcased in Delhi last January. At the end of the 3-day event, more than 75,000 visitors turned up at the Mumbai International Motor Show 2013. And despite the absence of biggies like Maruti Suzuki, Mercedes-Benz, Jaguar Land Rover, Tata Motors and Volkswagen, Mumbaikars were still happy to get their own metal fest, with the crowds truly reflecting the enthusiasm and passion among auto fanatics.
Now, some of you know that I'm on the jury for the World Car Awards, and so me as well as 65 other jurors have already whittled it down from all the nominees, all the launches of 2012 from across the world. We brought it down to the top few finalists, if you will. So I want to quickly run you through that because we've got our first cut. First up, it is the World Green Car Award. These are the nominees. The Renault Zoe, which we showed you at the Paris Motor Show, Smart's electric drive, the very popular Tesla Model S, which has also been the North American Car of the Year recently, the Volkswagen Jetta Hybrid, and the Volvo V60 plug-in hybrid diesel. Now that is of course new uncharted territory when it comes to hybrids in general. That's the green car nominees. Let's also take a look at the performance car nominees now. The Aston Martin Vanquish, staying in alphabetical order, the Audi RS5, BMW's M6 Coupe and convertible twins, the BMW M135i, the Ferrari F12 Berlinetta, no surprise to see that in there. Also the Mercedes-Benz SL63 AMG, the SLS AMG Roadster as well, which was very much a nominee at our awards too. The Porsche Boxster and Cayman, once again nominees at our awards and the winner too. The Renault Clio Sport, the Scion FRS, the Subaru BRZ, the Toyota GT86 and the Toyota 86. All of those of course are based on the same platform, so you got lots of nominees there, but two other categories to take you through. There's the Design Award and then of course the overall World Car of the Year. Well, we'll run you through those nominees on the other side of a short break. Welcome back to CNB. Now it's time to quickly run you through some of the other nominees for the World Car Awards, and this time it's the design category. So let's quickly take a look at the shortlisted nominees. The Aston Martin Vanquish, the Renault Clio, the Jaguar F-Type, Land Rover's Range Rover, the all-new generation, the Mazda 6 and the Volkswagen Golf based on MQB. So those were the Design Award nominees, but now the shortlist for the overall World Car of the Year 2012. It's a big award and we've had lots of entries and we've whittled it down, the jury has, and let's take a look at the top 10. These are once again listed in alphabetical order. The Audi A3, Land Rover's Range Rover, the Mazda 6, the Mazda CX-5, Mercedes-Benz A-Class, the Peugeot 208, Porsche's Boxster and Cayman twins, once again the Scion FRS, Subaru BRZ, the Toyota GT86 and 86 sports car, Volkswagen's Golf and the Volvo V40. Now remember, the Volvo V40 in its cross-country avatar does come to India in just a little while from now, so we'll have that for you on the show soon enough. But lots of very capable and strong nominees. So once again, we go into voting, and it will then whittle down to the top 3, which will be announced at the upcoming Geneva Motor Show. You know, of course, where you'll get all the details. Let's move on now to Mercedes-Benz. The company has now launched something very interesting in India. It's a program where all of you can participate with Mercedes-Benz, but more importantly, it's the country's first manufacturer-led SUV track. Bala was in Pune to check it out.
Off-roading has become serious business in India, and that's why we have brought you here to the Chakan plant, where a dedicated off-road test track has been created. From 45-degree gradients to axle twisters, this test track boasts of everything that's rough and tough for an off-roader. Can't wait to try it out. On CNB, we've brought you many off-roading experiences both overseas and here in India. But it's the first time a formal track has been set up for this purpose by a manufacturer in India. And for that serious off-roading challenge, we had the Mercedes GL Class SUV to prove its mettle. An initial drive through the 400-meter track with rally veteran Hari Singh was just what I needed to cool my nerves. But in a few minutes, I was already itching to get behind the wheel. Well, after watching Hari on the track, I've been quite inspired to do some off-roading myself. Hari, do you think I can give this a shot?
Well, why not, Bala? I'm quite adventurous myself.
Sure.
So I'll take the chance.
Thank you so much. My first challenge was to get past a nasty looking 45-degree incline with the nose of the car almost vertical. But the Mercedes GL was at ease as it crawled up with zero discomfort, and I started breathing again. But then again, I grit my teeth as I let go of the accelerator to try out the GL's hill hold function. The SUV didn't flinch even at the steep incline as the brakes had engaged real hard. But what followed after we climbed up was the almost vertical downhill descent. But thanks to the downhill speed regulation feature on the GL, I brought the speed down to 4 km an hour and just let go of the brakes. All I had to do was focus on the steering and the car descended smoothly. Hari's being extremely patient with me really all through this.
No, Bala, I think you're doing a good job.
Really?
Yep.
Up next on the track were the axle twisters, which really looked like massive potholes to me. To fully test the SUV's 4MATIC all-wheel drive and the electronic stability program. Having the right traction spread smartly across the tires on the ground is critical on these gravel surfaces, especially when sometimes one wheel is up in the air. The 4x4 had really given me the confidence that it wanted to be pushed to its limit on the terrain. And I was doing just that on the lateral incline section on the track. The large tires on the GL gripped onto the slanting cement surface with enough traction to keep it steady all through. Now, all this off-roading fun won't come for free. A full day's off-roading session here at the plant will cost you about 20,000 rupees, which also includes a guided tour of the plant. But the good news is that this is not restricted to Mercedes customers and owners. This is also for other car owners and SUV owners who want to improve their off-roading skills. But the participants can drive only Mercedes SUVs on the test track and not other 4x4 SUV brands that they might own. However, Mercedes owners get to test out their own SUVs on the track or will be provided GL or ML class SUVs at the plant itself. This off-road experience program is part of the German auto major's new performance drive initiative to further engage with its customers and also regain some of its lost market share this year.
The Indian automobile industry continues to traverse through what's been a very difficult period, though within that we still see some hope in terms of the larger picture and the long-term view when it comes to the attention from the automobile world on the Indian market. Joining me now to talk about that and what's happening specifically at Volkswagen India is the new Managing Director Passenger Cars at Volkswagen, Mr. Arvind Saxena. Great to see you, Arvind, and after a nice long while, so good to catch up. Now, obviously, as you study the market and the long-term prospects of it, not just here in Mumbai, but also back at Wolfsburg, what's the kind of view that's emanating on specific segments? I mean, there was a time when you could very clearly sort of chart a plan for India, which said, you know, small car, small car, small car. Yeah. It's not like that anymore, where maybe the bulk of the volumes are still in small car, but the diversification we are seeing, the blurring of lines between segments that we are seeing, which is true to what's happening in other parts of the world, the pace with which it catches up in India, how do you sort of plan for that? What are the segments that you think are going to be exciting for you?
See, the way I look at market today is, well, small car will still remain a very, very dominant part of the overall business. But I think what is really coming up very rapidly is SUVs, and especially the small SUVs. Compact SUVs and also the MPVs. I think these two are, considering the demographic of our customer that we have, I think these two are very, very relevant kind of segments for India. And I think that's a big opportunity for this market. Unfortunately, as of now, we have nothing, I mean, that we have. But as a market, I see those are one of the opportunity segments, clearly.
What holds back a brand like Volkswagen in that sense? I mean, I'm not trying to gloss over the fact that production or even development cycles for a product take some doing, and we appreciate that. But the space that you're talking about, if you take an example like, you know, the success that, let's say, Renault has had with the Duster, it's a space that even we have discussed in the past while you were at Hyundai, and it seems to be the sort of obvious opportunity. Globally speaking, from a European perspective especially, it's the space where Volkswagen has traditionally been very strong. You know, you've had products like the Caddy, or you've got products like the Tiguan. Often get discussed for India, but we don't see any sort of fruition to that. Is cost the only factor holding us back?
The cost definitely is one of the main reasons, and also the way segment would grow, and also the long-term policies actually. Sometimes that's also very, very critical for our future planning. And while we right now see some changes happening on that, let's say on a diesel policy that has come up, but I think till one is very sure about how things will shape, a long-term decision will also hinge on that.
Which is unfortunately never very clear in India.
So, I mean, that takes, because if you have to commit long-term, I think a lot of clarity is required, because it is not something, as you rightly said, it takes time for you to develop products, develop and take actions. So you have to be very sure that, okay, things may not change drastically in those, time period. Till that happens, I think it would be still very difficult for us.
All right, so that's promising. And the point you made about fuel, I think we saw the knee-jerk reaction when the shift to diesel happened a couple of years ago, and it caught the industry by surprise. The assumption that any kind of change thereafter would again see a knee-jerk reaction was, I think, perhaps an immature one, and we haven't seen that push back to petrol cars once diesel prices went up or petrol prices came down. But going forward, what's going to be the way to communicate this better to the customer? Because we all understand, I think those of us who are closer to products or understanding manufacturing do understand the benefits of petrol and the benefits of diesel. Sometimes the consumer does not. and which is exactly what we saw happen. So you have a very sort of varied portfolio when it comes to both fuel types. So what is your plan when it comes to addressing this situation?
See, luckily we have best of the technology in both engines, whether it's gasoline or diesel. But yes, as you clearly said that it was distorted because of the pricing clearly. And if you look at an example of Europe, I mean, there's still people, when the prices are similar, people still buy and choose the fuel as what they want. Now, in that situation, we are geared up to give out the best technology in both the cases. But yes, ever since I think the diesel prices have gone up slightly, we are finding a bit of shift in case of petrol diesel mix. And if going forward it really changes, I think it would be easier even for a customer to decide which car he wants to buy. If that is clear, I think we would decide and we would try and give the best picture to the customer. And frankly, customer will then decide whether he wants diesel. If somebody is really driving, let's say, long kilometers every month, clearly I think diesel is a way forward for him. Not only because of the price difference, but maybe for the efficiency or the fuel efficiency. Because engines that we have today are one of the best engines.
But the point you make, I mean, yes, we might see a scenario where perhaps sooner than later, once the full deregulation sets in, pricing may be very similar of the two fuels. However, when it comes to the actual purchase price of the vehicle, there is still a difference because obviously diesel technology has its own costs. So is there a long-term view within Volkswagen India to, not just for the VW brand, but across the sister brands as well, to look at ways to hedge that by, looking at larger economies of scale, perhaps more localization of powertrain?
No, those all can be considered, provided we have a little more clarity. I think this is for everyone, not only for us, but in general for industry. I think that's what it's required.
No, but in 2013, are we going to see a focus on consolidation of the existing brands, or will there be something new from a brand or a nameplate point of view?
There would be the existing brands, but lots of technology which we will bring in, and we will really keep it very, very interesting for our customers.
And all this talk that's been happening, especially in auto media, I guess, about the up. There's been lots of talk about it even globally. I think we have had the chance to meet with people like Professor Hackenberg, and I know that they have looked at certain kind of solutions. Is there something that we can expect anytime, if not this year, next year?
Really can't comment on that. I think we still have to.
Fair enough. But that market that sits below the Polo, you're certainly not excluding that from your radar.
On a product, it's difficult to say that.
Not for a specific product. What I mean to say is, just as in your overall assessment of the market, it's not an area that you consciously want to ignore.
No, as I said, we don't ignore any segment, so I can't comment on specific.
Fair enough. So last question, if you can give me your sense of where first the market might end up at, let's say, 31st December this year, and also where VW might.
Well, the way things are, looks like market would still be growing, I think, even this year, but again very marginally. It looks to me, as of now, our estimate is about, let's say, 5 to 6%. And for us, I think we would like to be a little higher growth than what market is, or at least improve our market share slightly in this.
Pretty much out of time, but as always, I will request you to please keep your feedback coming into us. You know how to do that. And as I go, I just want to quickly show you a glimpse of a bike that I'm sitting on right now. It is a bike that Bajaj says will change the landscape in the 100cc space. It's the brand new 100T Discover. And so we'll have all the details of this on the program next week. Until then, please be safe, please wear your helmets, please wear your seatbelts. Bye-bye.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app, fully optimized for retina display, full screen view, faster response time, and Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.